Howdy, friends. This is the Magic City Motor Mouth Fast Eddie Layne with your invitation to join yours truly, along with Mark Mabo Bowman and the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, every Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific for Beyond Ringside Live. Wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Keep your eyes open on BeyondRingside.com for all of upcoming show information, and of course, catch us on social media as well. Until then, we'll see you this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern for Beyond Ringside Live on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. After the top of the hour on this 4th day of August. Welcome into Beyond Ringside, back to basics. Yours truly, Magic City Motor Mouth Fast Eddie Layne, in the driver's seat, but actually not in the car this time. Scary thought. Thank you to everybody listening in through BeyondRingside.com, as well as the TuneIn Radio app, the Beyond Ringside mobile app for Android, Amazon, and BlackBerry, as well as through Shoutcast, Winamp, and Ustream as well. A lot of different ways you can listen in this evening. Got a lot of things on the agenda this evening. I'm just going to go ahead and say this one real quick. No, actually, I'm going to hold that thought for a little bit later. Good friend of the family coming on in just a little while. Going to be joined by pro wrestling star, the Rock of Love, Billy Blade. East and West come together on this interview. Had an opportunity to work with Billy a few years ago. Looking forward to having him here on Beyond Ringside Back to Basics in just a few minutes. To everybody who has been asking about the replays, I'm working on getting everything caught up on the podcast feeds for Beyond Ringside, To Be Determined, and Wrestle Rage as quickly as possible. And of course, loving all the comments about the Midnight Black Mass with Reverend Dan Wilson. Thank you to everybody who tuned in this past Sunday for BR Live, and with all the commentary that has been coming our direction, of course, with the comments made about the departure and the passing of Rowdy Roddy Piper, truly one of the all-time greats. And I made the comment, and I'm going to back this one up because I've been in conversation with some friends over the last couple of days. And as it pertains, I made the statement that two of the best talkers that we've ever known in the world of pro wrestling have left us. And what can you say about the verbal skills, the oral skills of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, that hadn't already been said? I think everybody has said it repeatedly. I think it has been put out there and everybody's had a chance to digest it. And just as we genuinely get a chance to digest it, we lose Roddy. And the reason why I make a comment about Piper being genuinely one of the best talkers in the industry ever is because of the fact that when Dusty picked up the microphone, normally as a babyface, you had someone who would talk you into coming to watch him challenge. And of course, on those 3 occasions when he was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, you would hope he would win. Whereas Piper, being a pure heel in that regard, whether it was up in the Pacific Northwest, whether it was in the Carolinas, whether it was in Georgia, all the way through the time in the Fed. And I just recently was sent a video reminding me of his appearance in NWA TNA at that time when he was laying it on the line to Vince Russo. Now, granted, that was a different Piper on that particular promo. And as Piper left in-ring activity, of course, the popularity of the man skyrocketed, still even more so. I mean, when it came down to him and Goldust in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, the fans loved him anyway. When it came down to him and Adrian Adonis, the fans loved him anyway. But I'm referring to the factor of when Piper was a genuine heel. The way that, and I brought this particular feud up, 2 of them actually. One was the feud between him and the Masked Superstar up in the Mid-Atlantic area. And the other was the feud between him and Bob Armstrong. Now, if you ever get a chance to see some of this footage about the manner in which Piper had the heel perspective against Bob Armstrong, the traditional babyface in that regard, and I do mean traditional in the purest sense of the word, you have to be able to see that Piper was able to sell out the Omni and any other stadium or arena that he was in because people wanted to see him get his ass kicked. Regardless of if it was tag action in the Portland area. Try it again. In the Pacific Northwest area alongside a Rip Oliver or whoever he was teaming up or taking on at the time. Whether it was in the Mid-Atlantic and against some of the perennial fan favorites in that area. And of course down in the Georgia area. I mean, it's one of those circumstances where you had the pure, wise-ass, sarcastic, condescending heel, and Piper added a different inflection upon a number of the things that he said. And the reason why I put it out there like that is because the world of pro wrestling at that time had more of the blunt, straight-ahead heels. And I mean genuinely blunt. I mean, one of my favorites all time was Dutch Mantell. And go back, look up some of his earlier stuff, long before Zeb Coulter ever came around. You have a chance to see with Piper that he could also take a cerebral approach to being not necessarily, the word I'm looking for is condescending. But at the same time, it was more of a veiled condescension. And that's one of the things I always appreciated about Piper as a heel. It wasn't the traditional straight ahead, in your face, da-da-da-da-da, which there's nothing wrong with it. Genuinely, there's nothing wrong with the straight ahead traditional. But I've always been one, it's like when I was managing, I took that approach. I took a more cerebral approach. It's one thing to be a manager out there, and there were so many different styles of manager when I was really coming into the business and when I was working with different promotions. And you had everything from, of course, everybody knows about the Grand Wizard, Freddie Blassie, Captain Lou Albano, Gary Hart, another one of my personal favorites as far as managers go, Sir Oliver Humperdinck. Of course, everybody remembers him, especially whether it was heel or face with Bam Bam Bigelow and all the different characters. You had, of course, Percy Pringle and Paul Bearer. I mean, Paul Jones, and I don't want to leave anybody out, and I'm not going to, because there's too many to mention. You're going to miss somebody, and I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's true. And we've had, of course, J.J. Dillon, and Dillon also had a more cerebral business style as far as managing goes on the microphone. And that's one of the things I appreciated about that. Same thing with Precious Paul Ellering. You had Hawk and Animal that were the powerhouse of the millennium, even 1,000 years later. And you had Paul Ellering carrying around the Wall Street Journal, speaking at Mensa level half the time. Well, Piper did that, and it was almost unheard of for a wrestler to do that. It didn't matter what area of the country you were in. I think the closest comparison that I can give to the way Piper attacked a lot of his interviews and cut promos was Larry Zbyszko. Larry Zbyszko is an extremely intelligent man, and if you ever really get a chance to listen to him speak, do it. Definitely do it. But coming back to Piper full circle for a second, yeah, that's why when I got the news on Friday afternoon, I'm just sitting back going, wow. You had one of the best promo guys and one of the best trash talkers in back-to-back months. I'm hoping there's not a trifecta. I don't want to use that word anytime soon. Mabo and Smark Rage, yes, I'm saying those names in the same sentence, Mark Bowman and Corey Nachampkin, both used a phrase, Mabo on Beyond Ringside Live this past Sunday, and Smark Rage during Wrestle Rage Radio with Smark Rage and Stan, both made references to parts of their childhood leaving them. And I can respect that and I can understand that. Because, like I said, when I was young enough, there were so many different personalities already in pro wrestling at a different level when I was watching it, much less when I tried to start breaking into it. And the challenge is to find your own niche. Find something that makes you unique, but at the same time, still yourself. And in my realm and in my world, it's taking more of a non-blunt. I prefer to speak up to people. I prefer to speak to people. And at the same time, take that condescending side to where you're making them think it's like, wait a minute, he wait, what, did he just insult me? And even if he didn't, I'm still going to boo his ass anyway. And I mean, I appreciated the boos, believe me on that one. But it's not about me in that regard. It's definitely about the memories of Piper and what he meant, in this particular case, what he meant to me. 11 minutes after the top of the hour on this Tuesday night thing. By the way, for everybody listening, whether you're listening live or you're listening through replay, on Beyond Ringside, the radio station itself, through all the different apps, whether you're listening through the BeyondCast podcast sites, remember, our chat room is open at BeyondRingside.com, also at BeyondRingside on Twitter, Facebook.com/BeyondRingside Live. You are more than welcome anytime to ask questions, post comments. Love to find out what's on your brain. Love to find out what you're thinking. It's that simple, and it's always that easy. One other thing before we go to the first break of the evening, before I bring Billy Blade in, I'm going to sit back and say something that's probably not going to be very popular, but I'm going to be very blunt and very honest about it. With the recent hullabaloo, which took place on Twitter, Dana White going against some Dana against the world. I have to put this in perspective. Vince McMahon owns Dana White on Twitter. Why? Because Vince McMahon doesn't allow himself to get goaded into these arguments. Dana White's a good businessman. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, not in the least. Because Dana's done a lot of things right. But I'm also going to sit back and say, moments like this where it gets so far blown out of proportion, that's not smart business. That's not good business. Because as was laid out there, I believe it was by Bully Ray, the comment was made that Dana White should be appreciative of the fans of the business which paved the road for his business. Because if it weren't for the popularity nationally and worldwide of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, I don't think that the popularity would be there for mixed martial arts. Now, granted, I'm not going to say entirely, because I'm going to also lay it out there like this. As a culture, we have regressed to the point where the only thing left is pure cannibalism. Boxing was one thing, wrestling's another. Look, the number of people who went through the roof when John Cena got his nose destroyed on Monday Night Raw 2 shows ago. I mean, that just put me in proper perspective in that particular regard, because the factor of how many people, wow, look at that. I'm serious. And because of that bloodlust that we have developed, whether it be through video games, whether it be through movies, television, whether it be through music, and yes, it exists, has for years, I believe our culture has regressed. And that is one of the reasons why we take such enjoyment in watching somebody, whether it be through the wrestler beating the boxer or whatever it was, because mixed martial arts now is not what the original mixed martial arts competitions were like. This has changed. The original Pride fights, the original mixed martial arts contests were contests laid out there to where the best of all walks of life could compete against each other and may the best person win. That's the way it was when Dan Severn won the Ultimate, 3-time UFC champion. And so from that vantage point, if you'll notice, and I know everybody has, so I'm not telling anybody anything they don't already know, the fact of the matter stands. The Ultimate Fighting Championship has been borrowing from pro wrestling. Cultivating personalities, cultivating storylines. Hello, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad to meet you. You can't say I'm wrong, because you're smarter than that. When you go over the last couple of years of UFC pay-per-views, even through The Ultimate Fighter, something that was taken directly out of Tough Enough or NXT, take your pick on the timelines. the Ultimate Fighting Championship basically has borrowed, I'm not going to say stolen, I'm going to say borrowed. They have utilized tried and true formulas that have been put in place by professional wrestling over the years. And there are a number of fans of both. You have WWE fans, you have wrestling fans, you have mixed martial arts fans, you have UFC fans. I break down the difference and tell you what, I'm going to make a note of that little statement right there because I'm going to come back to this a little bit later on in the broadcast. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and go to the first break of the evening. When Back to Basics resumes, I will be joined by the Rock of Love, Billy Blade, right here on Beyond Ringside Back to Basics.
Vendetta Pro Wrestling returns to the San Maria Elks Rodeo Arena Saturday, August 8th with WWE stars Chavo Guerrero Jr., Carlito, Ricardo Rodriguez, plus a hair versus hair street fight. Rik Luxury versus Billy Blade with Bellator MMA Star King Mo as special enforcer. Gates open at 4:30 with tickets as low as $5 in advance or get a bonus hour of matches with floor seating. Get pre-sale tickets at VendettaProWrestling.com. Discoteca Miramar, Leisure Time Games, and Billiard Lounge in Santa Maria, The Shack in Lompoc, and Cheap Thrills and Slow. Info line 805-260-5586.
The To Be Determined show live Wednesday nights, 9 Central Standard Time. Join myself, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, the Grand Design, Clyde Braddock, and the Magic City Runner, Fast Eddie Layne, as we take you to the edge of uncensored. Yes, we go uncensored, so make sure you have your earmuffs. Ask your parents, for those of you that are a little young, maybe under 18, but make sure if you have any heart conditions or any mental defects, please listen, because they may take effect right here live every Wednesday night, 9 Central Standard Time. Beyond Ringside Radio Network, BeyondRingside.com.
This is Merciless Ray Mercer, Olympic gold medalist and board member of Find the Dream, and you're locked into Beyond Ringside.
Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Reverend Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
This is Danny Cage from the world famous Monster Factory, and you're locked in to Beyond Ringside.
Hey, half-heads, it's a 3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Scrapline Adam Pierce. And just like me, you are locked in Beyond Ringside.
Don't know about where you are, but in my neck of the woods, it's been a beautiful day in paradise. Just hot. I think even the polar ice cap would have gotten a case of sunburn today. But I don't blame global warming. I blame the fact that the Big Show may have actually had Mexican food last night, and I'm going to leave it at that. Welcome back into Beyond Ringside Back to Basics, 25 after the top of the hour. The Magic City Motor Mouth, Fast Eddie Layne behind the control panel, and like to welcome in a longtime friend, the Rock of Love, Billy Blade. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, how you doing? Long time no talk.
Yeah, I know it has been forever and a day. First off, I know it's been a while, and I know if we were to genuinely go through what all of you've been doing since the last time we've had a chance to speak, we'd be here for 6 hours. But if you would, give me the encapsulated version, because I know you, the word busy is an understatement for you.
Yeah, believe it or not, I mean, I'm not as busy. I probably wrestle twice or 3 times a month now, just because I choose to, 16 years in and doing it, it takes a toll on your body, of course. Like Dana White says, it's fake, it's fake. So, but yeah, it takes wear and tear on your body. I think the last time I seen you, I wrestled Buff Bagwell for GCW with Dan Sawyer.
Right.
So I think that's the last time I was in Alabama, if I remember right.
You have been missed.
And yeah, and that was awesome. Since then, man, I've toured all over, man. I was lucky enough to be part of the Hulk Hogan Hulkamania tour in Australia, which was Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair every night for 4 major cities in Australia with my tag team partner. We were called the Rock of Love. We opened up the show, the first city, Melbourne. We were the first match against, I think, Godfather and Eugene, and we opened up the show. So talk about an honor, because me and my partner were the only non-televised talent on the show, so that was a pretty big honor. It was also the match. It was Sydney, Australia. We got to wrestle the Nasty Boys in a street fight. That was pretty interesting. And that was actually Umaga's last match.
Wow.
Before he passed away, like 4 days later. So it was a pretty good honor to be on the tour with him. He was an amazing guy, and pretty much everybody on the whole tour was pretty awesome. Yeah, since then, I mean, we just been doing this for a long time. I've been up and down California. I run Vendetta Pro Wrestling. Me and a guy named Joseph Duncan. Joseph Duncan is our PR guy and does all our ring announcing and all that. And he is basically my go-to guy. He does everything for Vendetta. I kind of know the talent and know the business in and out. So he just kind of helps me with that. But recently we joined NWA about a year or two ago, and it's
Right.
been pretty awesome, man. I know there's negative and positive about NWA to some people, but for us, it's been a pretty big blessing. We were able to bring back the NWA Western States title, which was retired by Larry Zbyszko, was the last person to hold the title.
Right.
And we were able to bring that back, and NWA has been really, welcoming for us. I know we're one of the top companies in the NWA, and we also run the Cauliflower Alley Club convention shows every year, and that's in conjunction with the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Right.
So, we do all that. I mean, I can keep going on where and what and when and, who, I've been wrestling with, but it's just, it's been so long. I think I was out there 2007 last to you. So.
I believe it was.
Yeah, it's a pretty long time ago. I just remember because my tattoos were that's where I got them then,
Now, the loaded question,
So.
when you look back on appearances, whether they were one-offs, whether they were short runs or extended runs, when you look back on that timeline, what normally is the thought that crosses your head when you go, wow, it's been 7 to 8 years since I've been there?
Well, I like the East Coast. I like the South and whatnot. My dad lives in North Carolina, so I really like going out there. The Hardy Boys are out there, and we could hang out with them every once in a while, or Matt or Shannon Moore, people like that. Secrets is a nice club that we used to go to out there. I look back. I mean, it was cool, man. I actually got to do a pretty cool feud with Matt Hardy. I think it was like 5 matches down in the West Coast here, and it ended up accumulating in All Pro Wrestling and then a Vendetta Pro Wrestling. And one of the matches was hair versus hair, and ladder match. And the hair, the case with the hair clippers and everything was above the ring, and you have to climb the ladder to get the clippers. I think that was the first time I've ever seen the ladder match with hair. I lost my hair, unfortunately, that night. But I was able to pay him back a few months later. I think we did a TLC match, and I was able to beat him for the title, for Vendetta Pro Wrestling's heavyweight title, or defend the title that night. One of the two, I can't remember. It's been a while. But, the East Coast, South, those South. I mean, I loved wrestling in Alabama. I loved wrestling in Tennessee. Georgia was really cool. And, of course, North Carolina. All those areas are pretty cool. It's just one of those places. Like, what I like about that area down there, I always tell people about that area all the time because I do have family in Huntsville, Alabama, so it's like kind of cool to go back over there. What I do like about that area is the fact that you can wrestle just about every day somewhere in that area, and it's not that far of a drive, compared to California. California is so huge, but you can wrestle in 4 or 5 different states, and you can wrestle almost every day, and that was kind of cool because me and one of my older partners, used to do that when we went out there. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I joke about the fact that for Alabama, you can go from the northern state line all the way to the coast in about 8 hours. And that's only
crazy.
with traffic.
Yeah, no, California, man, you go 3 hours. I mean, you go, 200 miles in like 4 or 5 hours, and that's only, 1/8 of the state,
And that's still traffic permitting.
Traffic's terrible there, so.
And that's still traffic permitting on the 5, right?
Yeah. The 5's not too bad up in the Bakersfield area, but in LA it's terrible. I hate that. I live in Central California. There's no traffic here.
Now, putting you on the spot a little bit because of the number of different areas that you've worked, and like I said, you mentioned the factor of being able to work abroad, which is of course tremendous. The different fan bases that you've had an opportunity to ply your trade in front of, because I have to ask you about those because we always hear, it's like I've had the privilege of working in front of from Alabama to Texas, all the way up to Ohio to North Carolina, and I see the differences myself, and I'm wondering what you would really put into play as the differences between the fan bases.
Oh, and the fan bases of the areas?
Yeah.
Is that what you asked? Well, I mean, I like, like the East Coast and the South and whatnot. It kind of depends on where I think the actual area, because like California, for example, where we're based out of, Vendetta, we're based out of the Central Coast, and Alabama, the Central Coast, where we're based out of, the fans are like typical WWE fans, so they love everything about the show. But like if you're wrestling in Philadelphia or something like that, I mean it's going to be I guess a tougher crowd to wrestle in front of. They're going to be real picky and whatnot. And I think when I wrestled down there in Alabama and stuff, I mean, they were typical WWE fans. I mean, larger than life stars, all of us, So I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, I think wrestling's still pretty strong, especially in those southern states. Wrestling is wrestling, I mean, it's pretty legendary in that area. So it's just a matter of keeping it going with all the companies that are still around. So hopefully I'll be back down there one of these days before I, quit doing this. But
I'd love to have you come back down this way. Love to have you come back down this way. It was a blast being able to work with you before, and I'd love to be able to do it again sometime. Now, you make a reference to Vendetta, and let's put this in play. There's probably over half the country that understands Vendetta Pro Wrestling, but for the other half that has never had a chance, for the wrestling fans who don't really get a chance to see what's going on where, give them a little background on Vendetta.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when I started wrestling in 1999. That's when I started training. I had basically been, working about 15 years now. I started training with Jesse Hernandez and Bill Anderson. Those are, that's my trainer. Jesse Hernandez was an old WWF referee, and Bill Anderson was an AWA referee, and wrestler, and so was Jesse Hernandez. Point to that, I ended up going on to Ultimate Pro Wrestling, which is where John Cena and all those guys came from. The Miz and whatnot. The point I was making to that is, what was the question? I'm sorry, I had the point and I totally lost the question.
It's okay. A little bit of the background of Vendetta.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
it's okay.
So I had a newborn baby at the time, and it was hard for me to travel down south to train all the time. So I decided I'm going to open up my own little training area. Even though I wasn't, to me, I don't think I should have at that point, but I needed somewhere to kind of work out, and I couldn't drive because I have a newborn, so I needed somewhere I could work out. So I got my own ring and started showing some guys some stuff. And, eventually a lot of guys caught on and started getting really good. And I started my own company, which is called California Wrestling Alliance. Well, that went really well for a few years. And eventually it went so well that a company called All Pro Wrestling, if you're familiar with it, it's one of the top companies in the West Coast.
Yep.
They took notice of how well we were drawing fans, and how well we put the shows together, and that was a big compliment because we were such big, we're big fans of All Pro Wrestling. That was such a big compliment. They wanted us to be part of All Pro Wrestling, so we started doing territories, technically trying to bring them back, but we're never going to bring them back permanently. But we had an LA territory, we had a Central Coast territory, which is mine. We had a Central Valley, which is Bakersfield area. Then we had a San Francisco, which is the APW base, So the point is we went on for a long time doing APW, and eventually I just APW went on to a company I helped bring about, which is called Pro Wrestling Revolution. They're based in Northern California, and I helped start that company, and it's real successful now when it comes to Lucha Libre market. But to me, it wasn't my thing, I guess you can say. So I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't happy. I just I felt like it wasn't what my vision of pro wrestling was, because the guy that helped me run it, his vision was do nothing but Lucha Libre. And in my area, which is Santa Maria, which is where Vendetta was started, and that's where Revolution started, like I said, he always did only Lucha Libre, and there's bigger market than just Lucha Libre in this area.
Right.
It's a known fact. Hispanics, Mexican fans, they are big into wrestling, Lucha Libre, but they are also the number one rated wrestling show in Mexico is WWE, not AAA, not CMLL, but WWE. So of course they want to see the American wrestlers, not just the mask. So that was my vision. So I broke off with that guy, started Vendetta Pro Wrestling, My first show, unfortunately, this is a funny story. My first show was July 11th, 2009. I ran the same night that Brock Lesnar won the UFC heavyweight title.
Oh.
So we didn't draw real well at all. It was worst timing in the world. And so I actually stopped running for 6 months just because I took such a big hit. I was like, wow, what a way to debut. So we did have a guy named Sean Casey who ended up being my partner. He ended up winning the heavyweight title. He was the very first heavyweight champion. We had a guy named Matt Birch he's part of a reality TV show called Operation Repo. He was like kind of our commissioner, and
Right.
Eugene was on the show, and a bunch of stars. Ricardo Rodriguez was on that show. There's so many stars. Christina Von Eerie. I mean, it was a bunch of stars that are big time stars now. To try to fast forward a little bit, I mean, that was 2009, the first debut. We eventually come back I think that January, and after that, we've been running ever since. We were no different than anybody like WWE or anything like that, but our area has a lot of Hispanics, so what we end up doing is we try to incorporate all aspects of wrestling. So we'll have some masked wrestlers, we'll have some women wrestlers, we'll have some WWE stars, recognizable stars that people are familiar with, and we just kind of put it into a show, and it draws real well. We've drawn 2,000 people in our area, on a few occasions, and so the building we normally run at, we haven't ran there in about a year now, but because we have this other building, but we were drawing 1,000 to 1,500 every show, almost every 6 weeks. So for independent wrestling, that's pretty big. So Vendetta Pro Wrestling, like I said, I'm not trying to be different because you can't change up wrestling. It's just we're just trying to give our area, because WWE does not travel into our area, a form of pro wrestling that they don't really get to see in our area. So
Right.
One of the big things we brought in, and I'll try to make it quick, was a Triforce title. I was a big fan of ECW back in the day, and they used to have the three-way dance, and I always thought that was one of the best matches on the card, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to have a three-way title. Well, for a long time there, we called it the Triforce, kind of like the Zelda game, We called it the Triforce Championship, and basically the match is a three-way title. So the only way you'd win, you have to wrestle three guys two other guys. So it's a three guys in one match every time. I noticed that TNA now does that. So I don't know if they stole it from us or what, but I do know that we've been doing that title for I think about 4 or 5 years now, and it's a pretty big hit. We've had a lot of pretty big champions. I mean, Ricardo Rodriguez was our very first champion of that title. He was known as Chimera then.
Right.
Who's actually, by the way, a really good wrestler. So it's too bad they just had him do mouthpiece,
Well, I know down at FCW he was doing a lot of in-ring work, but they got him up to the main roster, and they decided to use him more for the bilingual announcer. And it's just like, something that's, you have that situation where you have someone who can do it and do it well and do it right. And nobody has ever said that WWE is not guilty for a gross misuse of talent before.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I know that definitely he was one of the few. A lot of people didn't know that he was actually one of the guys that when they wanted people to try out with WWE, they would actually have him wrestle them, and him and William Regal would scout the talent. Every time they came into a new town. So,
Right.
He's definitely a great wrestler, and he's on our show Saturday. We got the show that's coming up Saturday. To fast forward now. We started it last year. We started doing an anniversary show starting last year. We still ran an anniversary show, but we didn't call it anything but Summer Sizzle was our very first show, and I thought that one of my students came up with Vendetta-versary. Oh, that sounds good. Let's do it. So we did it last year, and I think last year we had rare matches, like we had Chavo Guerrero Jr. and his father Chavo Sr. versus Bestia 666 and Damien 666, which is. It was the first father-son versus father and son. I thought that was kind of cool, This is last year. And then we had a band that performed in Mariachi, which is the world's only heavy metal mariachi band, and they're now on America's Got Talent. So I don't expect to use them ever again because they're going to blow up. So
That's a good thing, though. Love to be
it's good, yeah.
Love to be able to have them come back, but by the same token, it's like kaboom. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, we won't probably ever be able to use them again. So unless I book them now, but once that show's over, they're probably going to be huge. So
exactly,
they're pretty awesome. Yeah, but Yeah, so Saturday we get now we fast forward, we got our show. This is our 6th anniversary show technically, and we have Chavo Guerrero Jr. taking on Ricardo Rodriguez. Matt Riviera is defending his NWA Western States title, which by the way he's had it since January, defeating Brian Kendrick. I mean, so far I know he's defeated Brian Kendrick, Chris Masters. He defeated Jeff Jarrett actually recently. I mean, he's taken on and defeated a lot of top talent. So, but anyway, he's going to be in his tough test because he's taking on Carlito. Carlito is actually undefeated. He's defeated 2 of our former heavyweight champions, including myself, Shannon Ballard, Rik Luxury. I mean, he's basically undefeated, so it's a perfect matchup. I think one of the best matches on the card. I think could be. I've never heard of it, in my opinion, but then again, I don't hear about everything. So we have a tag team out here called the Classic Connection, and they are the current Pro Championship Wrestling, All Pro Wrestling, and Full Contact Wrestling Los Angeles tag team champions. We got the Ballard brothers, who's a legendary in the independent scene. They're the NWA Western States Tag Team Champions, and we got another tag team called the Von Dooms, are the current Apex Pro Tag Team Champions. We put them all together in one match, and all 5 titles are on the line. So that's going to be really interesting. I've never heard of that, so we'll see how that goes. There's so much more matches. If you want me to continue, it's up to you.
Yeah, if you'd like to run down the card.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2014. We do it. Luna Vachon was a real big friend of ours. One of our good friends. And when she passed away, I started doing a tribute to her. Once a year, I do a match called the Luna Vachon Lunacy Cup. It was all women's battle royal, and the winner would get a trophy called the Lunacy Cup. Well, we've elevated it a little bit, and now we're making it into like a match and whatnot. So, and it takes place at Cauliflower Alley Club every year. Or it's starting to. So this past year, we did it at Cauliflower, and Butcher Vachon, I'm sorry. Which one is it? Butcher Vachon presented the award to the winner, which was La Rosa Negra. She's the 2015 Luna Vachon Lunacy Cup winner. And she's taken on 2014 Lunacy Cup winner, a girl named Ray's, who's making some pretty big waves out here in California. So we have the Triforce Championship. We have a guy named Jekyll who recently just competed in the King of Indies tournament. He's our Triforce champion. He's taking on a wrestler out in California named Tsunami, and another wrestler named El Chupacabra. All 3 of those are top competitors in California.
Yep.
Then we have, I'm trying to think of all the matches. I know I have a few of them. We have an intergender match, a gentleman named Richie Slade. He's he's actually my tag team partner now. And Tab Jackson. Tab Jackson is the cousin of the Young Bucks. They are taking on a gentleman named El Ridiculoso and this girl named Laura Palmer. So we have that matchup. Now I'm trying to remember. Now I'm not going to remember all the matches. Now that I'm put on the spot. Go figure. Myself. I guess I can tell my match. So I'm wrestling Rik Luxury in a hair versus hair street fight, and Bellator MMA star King Mo Laval, or he was in TNA as well, is going to be the special enforcer to make sure nothing happens from outside in. So what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Now, actually, I wanted you to go and bring up the Underground Championship too.
What was that?
The Underground Championship?
Yeah, well, basically the whole show, all the titles are on the line.
Okay.
We have an Underground Championship. It's basically our little gym. We have a gym, and we run shows out of there. We call it the Underground, Vendetta Pro Underground. So because this show is a local show, we're going to basically defend. We usually don't defend the title on the bigger shows, but because it's our anniversary, we basically want all titles on the line, have a great time. Let's, give the fans. I mean, you can't get much better than, the cheapest ticket is $5. I mean, that's pretty cheap. So
yeah, really.
Alexander G. Bernard, he's our champion. I helped train him. He's one of my students. Great news about the guy. He started out telling me he don't think he's ever going to be able to wrestle. He don't think he's good enough. He's just a manager. He wants to be a manager. I kept sticking with it. Kept telling him, no, keep trying, because he was not bad. And eventually, now he's one of our champions. So obviously, persistence pays off.
Yes, it does sometimes.
I don't know what he's doing. I know he's doing an open challenge. He's going to be doing an open challenge, so I don't know who's going to accept that challenge. But we have a lot of hungry talent out there, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know.
One of our I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I said one of our top matches. I was kind of forgetting about. There's a new company out in the West Coast. I'm sure it airs out in the East Coast, but I'm not sure. It's called Lucha Underground.
Oh, maybe a little bit.
Was that?
Oh, I think a couple of people might have heard about it.
Yeah, exactly. So one of our heavyweight champion is a guy named Little Cholo. He's on that. He's on the show. His
part of the
name
crew.
Is, Mr. Cisco, I believe.
Yeah, isn't he? He's part of the crew, right?
Yeah, he's part of the crew. He's our heavyweight champion. He's actually been champion for over a year now. He's taking on a top competitor in the Southern California area. His name's Tyler Bateman.
Right.
Tyler Bateman's one of the top guys out here, and so that should be a pretty hard-hitting matchup, that's for sure. Those guys hit pretty hard. So I just wrestled Cholo a couple months ago, and it was a great match. I was on the losing end of that, but thanks to Rik Luxury. So, so I can finally get my hands on Rik Luxury once and for all. So, and one of us is losing our hair. Hopefully it's not me, because last time it wasn't fun. It took forever to grow my hair back.
Now, do me a favor. Speaking of Rik Luxury, give me a little bit of the background of the feud between you and he. How did everything come about and bring us to this point for this Saturday?
Well, the sad thing funny thing is we were like kind of a tag team. We've grown up in this. We've been wrestling about the same amount of time, about 15, 16 years. We kind of came from the same area. We've wrestled a lot of the same people. We've only wrestled each other maybe like one time in 15 years, and that was, I think 6 years ago, 6 years ago. We were part of a little group called the Five Most Wanted, which is kind of like it's kind of a big group out in that area, Kentucky, Louisville, Cincinnati area, for Heartland Wrestling Association. There was a group called the Five Most Wanted with Sean Casey, Cody Hawk, a few other gentlemen there. We started it in the West Coast. Sean Casey, myself, my old partner Caden Anthony, Rik Luxury. I think we had one more person. We were part of a little group. I don't know. Everything was fine. I don't know. And next thing you know, we were. I was the heavyweight champion I guess it was about a year ago. The Battle Royal. There was a Battle Royal, and I gave the winner of the Battle Royal. They got to get a title shot for me that same night. I guess he ended up cheating to win the Battle Royal. So I came out to face him one-on-one, and then he had the Classic Connection tag team come in and jump me before I even actually got into the ring. And so that caused me to lose the match. So I basically lost the title. Well, to try to fast forward through it, we were put in a tournament for the NWA Western States title. It was me and Rik Luxury one-on-one, and he started, of course, the cheating way that he is. I've cheated to win, too. I don't understand what, you're trying to win a championship. But, yeah, just the way he went about it. I got my hands on it for a little bit, and then he cheated and won the match, and we moved on in a tournament, and I just had enough, so I ruined his chances too. It started to escalate towards the end of this year, or towards the last couple months. I want to say it was just June. We had a show. It was It was me versus Little Cholo from the heavyweight championship. It was my first match. I finally got a rematch for the championship, and it was going really well. And the next thing you know, on our video screens, Rik Luxury comes on. We did a little thing where I gave him his opponent. If he beat his opponent, he gets to pick a match of his choosing. Well, he lost to Carlito, so then I got to pick. His opponent for me was Little Cholo. So the problem is the stipulation of the match. He got to choose the stipulation if I lost. Well, the distraction caused me to lose. He got to pick the stipulation, which is now a street fight, hair versus hair. And so that's where we're at now. And the good news, our commissioner decided to bring King Mo, who was already booked for the last few months, into the mix and make it a special enforcer. So that way there's no outside interference. It's going to come to an end one way or another.
Dude, it sounds like it's going to be a tremendous day of pro wrestling action. Now, real quick, if my notes are correct, this is going to be at 4040 Highway 101, Santa Maria, California for Vendetta-versary 2015, right?
Yeah, it's at the Elks. It's for the Elks Arena, or the Elks Lodge and stuff. It's called the Elks Rodeo Arena. It's an outdoor arena. We do it once a year. Yeah, let's get doors open at 4:30. Show starts at 5. That's for the floor seating. They get an extra bonus hour of matches, so that's kind of cool. And then at 6, I think the gates open for the bleachers and the upper seating, and then we start at 6:30 for the second half.
Yeah, I saw that, and it's like, wow, they've almost got a double bill working, because you're giving the people who get the VIP tickets an extra hour of pro wrestling. And if my notes are correct, I'm going to run this one more time. For the VIPs, the doors open at 4:30. The VIP show starts at 5. General admission, the others tickets start, doors open at 6, with that show starting at 6:30, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, you get a better bonus hour of matches. And, another match I forgot about, I'm starting to remember a little bit of them. I know we have a gentleman named Dylan Drake, the Golden Boy, Dylan Drake. He was in the King of Indies tournament as well. He's facing a gentleman who's actually part of Lucha Underground as well. His name's El Mariachi Loco.
Right.
That match is going to be pretty awesome. A lot of people are talking about that match, and that's one of the top stars in Southern California versus one of the top stars in Northern California. So they meet in the middle, see who's going to take the win. So.
Now, do me a favor before I let you run it. I know that you've got to go at the top of the hour, so let me go ahead and ask this one. One of the matches you've got booked, and I think you ran through it a little bit, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about it. Tag Team Triforce match, the Classic Connection, the Von Dooms, and the Ballard Brothers for a quintuple tag team championship.
Yeah, that was the one I was speaking of earlier. There's 5 different titles on the line for that match. Classic Connection has the All Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championships, the Pro Championship Wrestling Tag Team Championships, and both of those are top companies in Northern California.
Right.
Plus, they got some belts from Full Contact Wrestling in Los Angeles, which is one of the better companies in the Southern California area. All 3, they have 3 of those titles. The Ballards have our NWA Western States Tag Team Championship. I think they're ranked number 2 in the NWA Tag Team division in the world, behind Davey Boy Smith and I think it's Lance Archer. I forgot his WWE name, but they're the NWA World Tag Team Champions.
The Killer Elite
and
Squad.
Von Dooms, they're Apex Pro Tag Team Champions, and all those titles are on the line. The winner takes them all. So,
wow, somebody's going to need a Bobcat to help transport these things out of the building when the night's over with.
I would hate to be the person that. I hope that none of them are flying, because they're going to have to pay some extra baggage fees for those.
I would definitely say so. If a Bobcat didn't fill the bill, I'm sure they could probably back a Brinks truck up to load all the hardware into.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That is,
but like I said, that's a great exposure for all.
Now, I've just got to sit back and say this. With all the matches you've already mentioned here, I look at that one where you've got this many companies that are representing as tag team champions, and it's winner take all. That is a tremendous show of unity with the different companies that are in place, and I tip my hat on that.
Yeah, no, actually, we're really big on trying to incorporate a lot of the pro wrestling companies in California. There was a gentleman named Roland Alexander who actually started All Pro Wrestling. He passed away about 2 years ago, and in tribute to him, I like to do a lot of tribute stuff. I mean, it's just one of those things I like to do. I like giving back to the pro wrestling industry.
Right.
I always have. So Roland Alexander, we do a thing every year called the Roland Alexander Memorial California Cup, something like that. I can't remember exactly the wording, but it's a battle royal, but it's like a Royal Rumble style battle royal. And what we do is we have different companies, pro wrestling companies, and they have people representing their company in the battle royal, and it's all California companies. So it's kind of cool because it's the California Cup, and Roland represented California wrestling to its fullest. So we've had like I said, we've had a lot of different companies represent. They bring their talent in, and it's a cool little way to get their exposure from their company, but also give Roland the respect that he earned. He's all pro wrestling, like I said, is one of the top West Coast companies. With the Cauliflower Alley Club, which is I recommend any pro wrestler, any pro wrestling referee, manager, ring announcer. I mean, they should be a member of the Cauliflower Alley Club. I mean, it gives back to the wrestlers,
right?
From the past, present, future. It's one of my biggest, I'd say, accomplishments outside of just wrestling is being part of the Cauliflower Alley Club. I want to say I'm not on the board, but I think I'm one of the staff because I help run the shows. I book a show there every year at the Cauliflower Alley Convention in Las Vegas, and the shows are from top to bottom the best shows in the world. I mean, scouts are there every year. This past year we had This past year, we had Houston Thunder Liger on the show. I mean, you name it, we had tons of people on the show. But we do on that show, back to the tribute to the past of pro wrestling. We have the Cauliflower Alley Cup, and what we do is we do a battle royal. We do 2 nights of wrestling. So we do a Royal Rumble style matchup, and that winner faces the second chance battle royal the next night, and the 2 winners face each other for the Cauliflower Alley Cup. It's just been a big, it's been huge, I think this last year, Tokyo Monster Kahagas won it this past year. He was the 5th, I think, winner. We had Sean Casey win it the year before. We've had a lot of, I think 3 or 4 people win it every year. Sin Bodie, actually Rock Riddle, the original Mr. Wonderful, was the very first winner of that award. So pretty amazing.
Now, if my notes, do me a favor, let me go ahead and ask you ticket prices and availability.
Yeah, first and second rows are $25 for the first and second row. They're actually getting close. I think they're getting close to selling out, though. Ringside, which is all the seats behind the front and second row, are $15. So both those seating gets you actually a bonus hour of matches. And then the general admission, which are the bleachers, are $5. And we have box seating, which is right in front of the bleachers above the ringside seating, is $10, and all tickets are $5 more if you wait to the door to buy them. So
I was about to ask.
I was at VendettaProWrestling.com. You can buy them online.
You can also advanced tickets can also be purchased, I do believe, at Leisure Time Games in Town Center Mall in Santa Maria, at the Billiard. Is it Billiard or Billard?
Yeah, Billiards.
Okay,
yeah, that works. Billiard Lounge.
The Billard Lounge. Carmen. I can't read it. The print's a little bit small.
Oh, no, it's Carmen Layne and Thornburg. It's the corner of Carmen Layne and Thornburg. We have Discoteca Miramar. I better say that one for you. It's
that one I could have gotten.
Popular Spanish music stores that are in our area. They're one of our top ticket locations. And we have the Shack in Lompoc, and we also have Cheap Thrills in San Luis Obispo. And all those places have tickets, or online at VendettaProWrestling.com.
And of course, I know you've got some great sponsors for this event, including Coors Light, Anytime Fitness, and so many more, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. And we couldn't do it without sponsors. I mean, we have 3 different radio stations. El Campo Radio, which has been real helpful. We've had Ricardo Rodriguez this week. Last week we had Mariachi Loco. I think a couple days from now we have Chavo Guerrero. On Friday we got La Rosa Negra going to be on the radio. El Campo Radio, Mega 97.1. We have La Buena 106.1 radio. We have tons of Billiard Lounge. I mean, we just keep going on and on. I mean, Telemundo was a big sponsor of ours, and a big supporter of Vendetta Pro Wrestling. Vendetta Pro Wrestling is the original Central Coast Pro Wrestling company. There's another company out there, but we won't talk about them. But you know how that goes.
Now, first off, I know you're pushed for time, and I want to thank you for being so generous with this. I want to invite you to come back on when you have a little bit more time to work with, because I want to refocus on you and some of the things you've done, some of the experiences you've been through.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. Let's do it again. I just have another radio show. I think I told you earlier. So,
I understand. I understand completely. Duty calls. Trust me on that one. Now, real quick.
Yeah. So bring me back whenever you want.
You already mentioned the website, VendettaProWrestling.com. Once again, folks, that is this Saturday, August the 8th, 4040 Highway 101 in Santa Maria, California. It is Vendetta-versary 2015 from Vendetta Pro Wrestling. Now, the physical address, once again, is 4040 Highway 101. The venue itself has a number of different names, including the Unocal Elks Rodeo Lodge. And a number of different incarnations of that one, because I've looked at different promos, I've looked at different posters, and they all say different things. So it's like, we're just going to get all those words out there that's like, okay, I know this.
Yeah.
But
I called all the different ones, too. I'm not going to lie. Like, I went online to look at something today, I think, and it said Elks Unocal
Event Center.
And then I looked at it and it said Elks Outdoor Arena. So it's like, I don't know which one. The point is, if you go to the Elks Lodge, you're not going to see a wrestling show. It's at the outdoor arena. The good news is the local people should know where it's at. It is where they hold the local rodeo every year, which is one of our bigger events of the year. So for sure. And don't forget, we are part of the NWA National Wrestling Alliance, and July 4th we just launched NWAClassics.com, a bunch of classic matches that Vince McMahon didn't get his hands on. So that's a great thing. So
nice.
It's like, there's all kinds of classics with Ric Flair and a bunch of guys, you know, so it's definitely something to check out as well.
Now, I want to ask before I let you run. I saw something, and I want to confirm before I go any further. Something about Vendetta Radio.
Yeah. That's going to be in about an hour. Actually, I host a radio show with my commissioner Joseph Duncan. We've had some pretty good radio. I don't know if you've heard. I mean, I feel bad about it, but it wasn't like we didn't do anything wrong. But Bill DeMont, there was a big controversy with one of our. I'll tell you, actually, about a year ago, we were doing a radio show, and we had Joey Ryan on the show, and I don't know if you remember this and all, but it was TNA, and he was doing that angle with Al Snow with
right.
the gut check.
Yeah, the 87%.
And yeah, the 87%. Yeah, exactly. And I called, you know, Joey was our host for a whole month, and Taz hit us up about 5 minutes before we were going live and said, I want to call in. And what do you do? Taz calls you, wants to call in. What do you do, you know? So we
Here's
actually
the
had
number.
I felt bad because we had one of the Young Bucks on the show, and Nick Jackson wasn't able to get anything, and Taz just ripped Joey a new one for about 35, 45 minutes, you know?
Wow.
But recently, we had a guy named Austin, Judah, what is his name in NXT? I think it was Judas Draven.
Okay.
Austin, we call him Austin Draven in our area, but I think it's like Judas Devlin. Anyway, that was a big controversy where he ended up NXT fired him for, you know, something. I don't know, something with one of his injuries. I know, but he went on our radio show and basically spilled the beans about Bill DeMont and how he was abusive and this and that. And don't get me wrong, I had no control of it. We were just letting him speak, and he spoke exactly how he felt. And you know, within a week, Bill DeMont got fired from it. You know, I don't know if it wasn't technically from our radio show, but it was from the words that he put out publicly that everybody caught on to, the websites and everything like that. And unfortunately, Bill DeMont had to resign, you know. I feel bad because I like Bill DeMont, honestly. I've actually trained with him when I was in Deep South, and he's a good guy. But obviously, some people didn't think so.
Now, for everybody listening on the live side right now, we're at 3 minutes after 9 Central Time, 3 minutes after 7 on the Pacific Coast. Billy, real quick, how can everybody listen to Vendetta Radio in a little while?
At 8 p.m. Pacific Time, we're on Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/Vendetta Vendetta-Pro-Radio. If you search Vendetta Pro Radio on the Blog Talk Radio, you'll find it. Or you can call in and listen at 646-929-2066. We usually take callers. I don't know how many callers we'll try to take because, unfortunately, I'm going to be on the air with Rik Luxury. So between the two of us, I don't know if we're going to be able to get any words in. You know, we'll probably just – it's not going to be fun. So,
Billy,
but he needs to hear it.
It's been great to have a chance to catch up a little bit with you, and I want to wish you the absolute best for this coming Saturday. I hope y'all have a packed house hanging from the rafters and then some waiting out the door,
sure.
Down the building, and down the block as well, trying to get in.
Oh, for sure. That's what we hope for as well. You know, so that's what we always can hope for. But, you know, you never know. But the good news is we're going to go out there and have a good time and give the fans nothing but a good time, you know. So
now, how can people track down Vendetta on the rest of the social media?
Well, Vendetta, the good news is if you haven't heard of Vendetta, I mean, it's rare. I mean, my PR guy, I mean, he's all over everything. We're Vendetta Pro Wrestling on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. We have a Twitter page at Vendetta Pro. We also have, I think we have Instagram. To be honest with you, I don't run this, so I don't know which ones are the Instagram, but I know we have Vendetta Pro Radio under the Blog Talk Radio scene, VendettaProWrestling.com under the website, and I think we have MySpace. I don't remember though. I don't run it though. So
MySpace is still out there.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah, MySpace is still out there, especially after Justin Timberlake bought it.
That's what I heard. Yeah, kind of funny though. But whatever works. Yeah, the more social media, the better. I guess that's the way people do it nowadays. So
exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy, do me a favor, hang with me 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, very special guest at this time, the Rock of Love, Billy Blade, has once again gone beyond ringside. Hang with us, going to the top of the hour break. Back to Basics rolls on right after this. Howdy, friends. This is the Magic City Motor Mouth, Fast Eddie Layne, with your invitation to join yours truly, along with Mark Mabo Bowman and the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, every Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, for Beyond Ringside Live. Wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Keep your eyes open on BeyondRingside.com for all of upcoming show information, and of course, catch us on social media as well. Until then, we'll see you this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern, for Beyond Ringside Live on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Reverend Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
This is Bob Allen, co-author of Gordon Soley's Something Left Behind and the Soley Chronicles, and you're locked into Beyond Ringside. This is Jeff Damelin from Deadliest Warrior on Spike TV. Hit me up on my website at www.jeffdamelin.com. You're locked into Beyond Ringside.
Vendetta Pro Wrestling returns to the San Maria Elks Rodeo Arena Saturday, August 8th with WWE stars Chavo Guerrero Jr., Carlito, Ricardo Rodriguez, plus a hair versus hair street fight. Rik Luxury versus Billy Blade with Bellator MMA Star King Mo as special enforcer. Gates open at 4:30 with tickets as low as $5 in advance, or get a bonus hour of matches with floor seating. Get pre-sale tickets at VendettaProWrestling.com. Discoteca Miramar, Leisure Time Games, and Billiard Lounge in Santa Maria, The Shack in Lompoc, and Cheap Thrills in Slow. Info line 805-260-5586.
Hey everyone, my name is Bryce Rensburg. I'm the Chikara Senior Official, and wherever I am in the world, be it on the phone or the internet, there's no place I'd rather be than locked in to Beyond Ringside.
Minutes after the top of the hour, a little bit of an extended break on that, and had some things I needed to cover. Also got in touch with, of course, good friend. You know him from Beyond Ringside Live on Sunday nights, and he says I never invite him on here, so guess what? I'm inviting him on here real quick. Mark Mabo Bowman, what's up, buddy?
No, you didn't invite me. You said, hey, what are you doing?
I said, hey, you busy? Call in.
Yeah. and you know if it's after a certain time, yeah, I'm busy.
Don't say it.
I didn't say what.
Good.
I was actually about to, though, for real.
Well, there you go. Also expecting a phone call from another good friend from Russell Rage Radio, Stan Grubb, supposed to be calling in a couple of minutes.
Oh, thank God. I thought it was going to be the other
No. I'm not in the mood for a cage fight yet.
Trust me, I don't think they've got a cage that he can fit in.
Meanwhile...
Feel the rage.
Stop it. It's Rule 16, remember?
What?
Exactly. I was bringing something up before I went to the first break. And by the way, before I go any further, I want to give a very special thanks to the Rock of Love, Billy Blade, for coming on board this evening. Always great to be able to speak with him. And for our friends on the West Coast, this Saturday, Vendetta Pro Wrestling, Vendetta-versary in Santa Maria, California. Heard the spot for it just a second ago, and of course, Billy and I had a chance to run down the card, amongst other things, just a little while ago. And of course, hey, look, if I could afford to fly out there for it, I damn well would. And for everybody, like I say, 2 hours, not too far to drive, and the ticket prices are damn well affordable for this live event. You know, I brought something up before the first break, and I made the comment about how at this point in time, you've got the #1 pro wrestling sports entertainment company out there. Hang on one second. There he is. I'm going to go ahead and get him in before I ask the question. We're doing this live radio, kids. There will be no editing in post. And if my timing is right and things work out, I'd like to welcome in good friend from Russell Rage Radio, Stan Grubb. Grubby, what's up, dude?
Good evening. What's going on, everybody?
Another beautiful day in paradise. So we're going trifecta and trilogy, triad, all of the above, unholy alliance on this one when worlds collide on Back to Basics. I made the comment that you have the president of the #1 rated mixed martial arts company in the world and the principal owner of the #1 pro wrestling / sports entertainment company in the world, who have a true contrast between the two of them. And I'm going to lay it out there like this, and I'd like both of your opinions on this. At this moment in time, Vince McMahon owns Dana White on social media. Before I go for opinions, I want to lay this one out there. Dana White, lack of class, lack of decorum, lack of professionalism, allows himself to get engaged into a war of words with someone who follows him on social media. Vince McMahon, I have yet to see get into a war of words with anyone on social media. So that is to where, with those facts in place, that's where I sit back and say Vince McMahon owns Dana White on Twitter. Mabo, your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, Vince McMahon owns Dana White on several levels. I mean, Dana White is, it's like you say, he's classless, he's crass, he tries to be a badass, and he's not really, to be honest. He surrounds himself with, these fighters, these legit badasses, but, yeah, I mean, the guy might have a build to him, but so is Vince. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I hate to use this analogy because I don't want you to think I'm talking about a certain person that we both know, but it's kind of like a wrestling promoter who's really just basically a mark with money. And to me, that's what Dana White is. He doesn't have the respect of the boys, in my opinion, because of the way he conducts himself and conducts business. Whether you like him or not, everyone respects Vince McMahon. Or not going to say everyone, but I would say the majority of the people, whether they like him or whether they hate him, they respect him. They respect what he's done. They respect how he carries himself. Yeah, does he do some cutthroat business? Sure, but that's what you have to do. That's why it's called it's wrestling business. So
drink.
But to me, Vince is just. I mean, to Dana White's almost the equivalent of just a mark with money. He thinks he's one of the boys or whatever. And that's thinks he could be a badass when he's really not.
Okay, Stan Grubb, your thoughts?
First and foremost, let me just say it's good to hear Mabo's voice. I forgot that he was actually on the air before, so it's good to hear you, buddy. How you been?
I'm fine. I forgot how white you sound.
Ouch. Okay, well, I forgot how south you sound, so that's okay.
But you know what, though? You do sound more intelligent than the other person.
Mabo.
Hulkamaniac is, by the way, the new word for cracker, so I just want to point that out for you. Hashtag Hulkamania means cracker. So the question is Dana White, and is he being owned by Vince McMahon? And I have to agree with Mabo. On multiple levels, Vince McMahon just owns him. And it's not just social media, but let's use social media first. Dana White is essentially doing what Dixie Carter has done for years. And he's attempting to engage the fans in the right way, but then he gets caught up in we'll just say the IWC chatter, and starts believing his own hype, like many promoters do. His failures as a promoter is only because he's the typical promoter, the vampire that's basically sponging fame and fortune off of the backs and the talents of the people he hires. So on one hand, you have to admire him. He's a smart businessman because he's making a killing. On the other hand, you can't respect him because he doesn't have a respect for not just his industry, but the industries around him. Vince McMahon knows better. He's older, he's smarter, he's wiser. He's been in business for so much longer that Dana White essentially challenging WWE is like bringing a match to go up against a flamethrower. It's just not going to work. And Vince knows this. Vince has an entire staff that helps him with his Twitter account. Dana White has trouble spelling the word Twitter. So I'm pretty sure we're talking about two totally different elements here. And UFC is a totally different monster. They don't respect WWE because they think they're better. That's why CM Punk went there. don't misinterpret it. CM Punk wants to be successful and respects what those people are doing in the cage, in the octagon. But at the same time, he wouldn't have gone to, say, Bellator or insert cage match, cage fighting place here or MMA place here. He went to a direct competitor to Vince McMahon because he felt it would be that last dig. He's not stupid. He knows he's going to make millions. Rightfully so. He's very talented. But at the same time, it's just another indicator of people trying to take cheap shots at the industry and at Vince McMahon. Dixie Carter did it with the backhanded jabs of stealing different storylines. You know, Dana White does it by saying, oh, it's fake. The problem is Dana White is also making a killing on those same pay-per-views that he's using to bash WWE. So if people are going to continue to spend, what was the price, $65 for this show?
$59 in my market, yeah. 59 standard definition,
okay.
65
so
high def.
$60. Okay, so $60 standard definition and $65 for HD or whatever the price breakdown was. He knows he's going to make money, much like they do with WrestleMania, regardless of the network or pay-per-view or whatever they want to call it nowadays. So UFC is just light years behind where WWE is in the realm of how they compete, how they present their product, how they're represented by never wanted to and never will argue with a fan.
Now, the way I'm looking at things is very simple, and I agree with both perspectives wholeheartedly because the way things mount up. I can't say too much in certain regards because I had a major issue when the UFC, the Fertitta brothers and Dana White bought Pride and bought WEC and bought Strikeforce. You get big enough, you buy your competition, and yet, lo and behold, once again, you find out that WWE has already been there and made that mistake. The absorption and the dissolution of WCW, they tried to hold it out as long as they could. They buy different areas like Deep South and Heartland and OVW and Florida Championship Wrestling, Eddie Graham's promotion before it became FCW, the other version before it became NXT. And you have cardinal mistakes which are made in that area. And I have sat back and said on more than one occasion, Dana White wants to be Vince McMahon so bad he can taste it. Because lo and behold, The Ultimate Fighter is nothing different than Tough Enough or NXT. And I said that in Seg 1 earlier this evening, and I still stand by that remark. You know, Dana White came back on that conversation and said, I respect pro wrestling and the people who are in it. But he still used the F word, fake. I appreciate what Austin Aries posted. I appreciate what a number of performers, what a number of pro wrestling stars posted on their Twitter accounts as it pertains to that F word. If pro wrestling were fake, John Cena would not have a nose that is busted to hell and back and had to come off the international tour. No, if it was fake, that wouldn't happen. And by the same token, I also have to sit back and say, and feel free to counteract me if you'd like to on this one, the Ultimate Fighting Championship has shown over the last couple of years that much in the same vein of boxing, I will not make an official accusation like Wanderlei Silva did, but I will sit back and say, in my humble opinion, especially with all the money that's flying around in the UFC right now, yes, it is my opinion that the outcomes are predetermined. I think that the McGregor-Mendez fight proved that all over again because of the simple fact that now the interim champion in that weight division is Conor McGregor. The champion recognized in that division is Jose Aldo, and they're getting ready for yet another possible supercard in only a couple of months. So, lo and behold, I think when it all comes down and everything is said and done, Dana's not only going to have to deal with the concept of maybe down the road the use of the F word being turned back on him, but also the other F word, fixed. An accusation that floated around professional boxing prize fighting for a number of years. The only saving grace that he's got working right now is, in addition to a couple of his champions being major high-profile positive role models for people, you have one other that I'm just going to go ahead and mention this straight up. Ronda Rousey, in my humble opinion, is a tremendous role model for young girls and for women. You get after it, you dedicate yourself, you chase your dream, you don't stop, and you make it happen. She is a great role model. Now, you can take what she has done on her journey in MMA and apply that to other walks of life, that same philosophy, that same mindset, that same dedication, that same never say die attitude. You can approach with any walk of life with that same attitude and be a success. And in that vein, I feel that Ronda Rousey is a great role model for young girls, young women, and ladies all the way around the world. But from there, I'm gonna close that particular statement on this one. If Mabel, I know you don't follow UFC, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you the question anyway, because you hear on you watch social media, you read a lot of the timelines, you get a chance to see what people say, or see what people tweet or put on Facebook or any other media that you're on. That other F word, fixed, R word, rigged. How often have you seen that word bandied about, or have you seen it that much?
Well, I haven't really seen it that much because I don't. Like I said, I don't really pay attention to UFC that much. Of course, if Ronda Rousey shows up, I know it's going to be a few seconds to a minute at most clips, so I could just watch it on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever the next day. So, and once again, she held true.
34 seconds.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I have seen there have been people who have said that, and even. What was it? A couple years ago, we've discussed this before. When it was supposed to be Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
And then Shamrock, quote unquote, hurt himself during training.
Yeah, and Seth Petrozelli came in, and
everybody thought Slice was just going to destroy him, and then boom, ringer fixed, whatever. I personally said that because I was watching that because I was actually looking forward to that match. But I mean, I've heard few people here and there, but I don't really see it that much. But that's because I don't really frequent any kind of mixed martial arts boards or anything. I do know a couple people who follow MMA religiously, and I've never seen them use that word before. So, but yeah, I have seen it a couple times here and there, and I would say it's. Well, the more that it's around, the more it does seem to lean towards the fixed aspect of it. I mean, am I taking away from anything from the fighters? No, I do honestly believe they go out there and beat the hell out of each other. But I think when it's time to, for the match to be over, boom, bang, boom, they know when to drop, so to speak.
Stan Grubb, closing comments, this subject.
It's no secret that UFC has been clouded in controversy when it comes to whether or not the outcomes are fixed or predetermined. The truth of the matter is, and Q-Ball Carmichael shared this information a few months back, is that Dana White and UFC admitted to being sports entertainment back in 2011 in New Jersey. There's a court document that indicates such. It's all done for taxes. It's all done for money. Does it matter? Not really. It's a different type of entertainment. I've thought UFC was fixed since way back in the day after Shamrock and Severn finished their epic fights. That's the last time I felt that UFC was legit. And to me, I mean, when you watch fights like what Ronda Rousey does, okay, let me try to simplify this. You got Alistair Overeem and Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has destroyed every single fight he's had, with the exception of the one that he lost by just some stupid fluke tap out, right? He comes in and he faces Overeem. Overeem destroys him. How is this possible? How is it possible that you can just randomly appear to be basically gassed or blown up It just doesn't make sense to me. They can say diverticulitis, they can say this, they can say that, but the bottom line is this. Not a single punch that was thrown or kick that was thrown in that fight made any sense to me as far as impact. When you look at the way Ronda Rousey went after Beth Correa, and I probably mispronounced her name, don't really care. She's not important enough to remember. But the way she went after her and attacked her and struck, the impact wasn't there. I'm not an idiot. I've watched enough professional wrestling, boxing, and other professional sports to know when somebody is just plain losing by command. It doesn't mean that Ronda Rousey's not a good fighter. It doesn't mean that Beth Correa is a good fighter. All it really means is that Dana White is trying to disguise what has happened here with just clouding the issue. Oh, WWE is fake. Don't pay attention to them. They're not real. Well, did you forget that you stood in court and said that you were not necessarily real? You got to remember that when you start throwing stones, people tend to throw back.
Yep.
And Dana White just doesn't get that. I hate to keep harping on him, but it's very similar to what TNA does. They throw the stones and they think it's going to generate a new audience, and it never does. Nope. It sucks. You never see Ring of Honor do that. You never see companies that go out there and put on solid performance after performance. For example, Lucha Underground. They don't take cheap shots. As a matter of fact, they show respect to not just TNA, but to WWE and all points in between, every step of the way. And that's the reason they're successful. So maybe Dana White could take a page out of everyone else's book and just say, okay, fine, you caught me. Cat's out of the bag. We don't want to insult you anymore. We want you to know it's sports entertainment. He could do exactly what Vince did, and he'd make a killing, and he'd be a genius. That's what I would recommend.
I want to bring this one up. Over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, over the last week since this thing has started to formulate and has become a little bit more obvious, if John Cena and Seth Rollins do go at SummerSlam, Cena's health permitting, John Cena should not win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. Agree or disagree, Mark Bowman?
Well, I mean, I agree that he shouldn't win it. I mean, the whole U.S. Open spiel, that's really done wonders. I mean, people remember the U.S. title now. They recognize the U.S. title for all the things that he's done with it. But no, I don't think he should win it. I mean, but then again, I don't think Seth Rollins should win the U.S. title either. So it'll probably end in some kind of double disqualification or something. Something will happen to where neither of them walk away with the belt. But no, I don't think he should. I don't think it's still not time for him to have the belt back. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel right. So, like, honestly, with Seth Rollins, you can pick out any number of strong contenders and go, okay, bada boom, bada bing. I mean, you got Ambrose, you got Reigns,
Cesaro.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Cesaro.
Orton.
There's a lot of guys. Sorry, I've got a little bit of Benadryl flowing through me, guys, so I'm a little bit lightheaded. But there's a number of people that you could pull from to match up against Rollins, and have a nice little series of matches. If Cena gets the belt, who would you say? Who would you put against him? Big Show? How many times have we seen that?
Bray Wyatt.
Sheamus. I mean, he already humiliated Bray Wyatt once. What, Rusev? Is he going to rehash? Are we going to rehash that already? We're going to rehash Owens?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar's going to be tied up with Taker for a while.
Well, we don't know about for a while. This may be a one-off to try to because the fact that they're trying to make SummerSlam a 4-hour event and they're putting Taker Lesnar on there, they're trying to build up that membership all over again for the WWE Network. And look, I appreciate everything they're trying to do, but I'm sorry. I'm very skeptical at this point. Of course, I've been skeptical the last 3 network events, $9.99 previews. And thing about it is the last 3 in a row have been very good, better than I thought they would. Kind of like, a B-plus event. Thank you, Steph. Continue, Mabo.
That's where I think you're wrong. I don't think it's going to be a one-off. think we're going to be building to Taker's final run, which will end at Mania, and hoping maybe possibly going to the Hall of Fame this year or next year.
That would be. Go ahead.
But I mean, I don't. Right now, I don't see anybody that Super Cena could legit have a good run with. Like, if he's holding the title, who he could have a good run against that we haven't already seen. So unless they turn somebody like Reigns heel,
which is conceivable.
Yeah, I mean, they just watched the Royal Rumble off of him, so.
Yeah, I know. Stan Grubb, your thoughts. John Cena should not win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam.
I agree. I think it's the wrong time to make the change. I think Seth Rollins is still the right guy for that title. I would have liked to have seen Dean Ambrose win in that shocker kind of thing, but I understood what they did and it made good sense. I think that Seth Rollins is a good quality performer. He can have good matches with any good guy they put together, and it doesn't matter what level of the card the good guy is, because he's able to elevate them and generate the crowd reaction. So people will tune in to watch if it's Dolph Ziggler, if it's John Cena, if it's Cesaro, or even if it was R-Truth. And that's the amazing thing about what Seth Rollins is able to do. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that Seth Rollins and R-Truth would generate main event money, but what it does mean is that Seth Rollins is that Kurt Angle-esque kind of guy, Shawn Michaels, where he's able to elevate the talent that he's in the ring with. And so is John Cena. The problem with putting the title on Cena right now, not just injury related, but overall, is you're going to take the focus off of all of the hard work you've done to generate interest in Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar needs to happen again. And I think they realize that. I also think Mabo is very, very dead on with this, that they just got Roman Reigns back to where he was before he got injured the first time. So now that they have him at that level, I have to disagree. It's certainly not time to turn Roman Reigns, but it is time to make a heel turn with someone. I don't think it's going to be Cena. It's too early to make it Roman Reigns or Cesaro or even with Dolph Ziggler. It's going to have to be a guy that no one would expect.
Oh, there goes Randy Orton.
I just don't see why Randy Orton would ever be a heel again. You watch what he did on Monday night. Very selective with his movement, very methodical with what he did. That's the Randy Orton that people enjoy watching, not the guy that did the heel routine that just got so stale. His actions in the ring really make him a good guy no matter what he wants. And that's okay. It's the same thing that happened to Flair. It's the same thing that happened to Triple H. That's a good level to be at. So you don't have a guy right now that's really going to fill the shoes to take the U.S. title from Cena either. It should have been Kevin Owens, but one can argue that they want to make sure that Kevin Owens can last. I personally don't believe the hype or the rumor unhappy with Kevin Owens' work, because it doesn't matter. Kevin Dunn is not in charge. People can say what they want and say that Kevin Dunn is in Vince's ear, but you know who's truly running things right now? It's not just Vince anymore. It's Vince, it's Triple H, it's Stephanie. All three of those people have to sign off on a push, or as Steve Austin would say, strapping the rocket to someone's back. So Kevin Dunn can say anything he wants, but it really doesn't matter, because if Triple H wants it to happen, it's going to happen. Look at the Divas division right now. That's happening because of Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Vince McMahon's a little short-sighted, I think, and sometimes he forgets where his money is made. But Triple H and Stephanie have a better finger on the pulse. So Cena winning the title right now, so it would make money, and much to your point, they have people that he can go with that would make sense. Big Show, Kane, Seth Rollins in a rematch, insert person here. But really the focus should be on Brock Lesnar and Taker as the main event. I think right now, I don't think it's a one-off. I think Taker is lining up for his last run. I think Taker might be the guy that takes the title off Seth Rollins, and I think Taker would be the guy to retire after WrestleMania as champion. That's the only guy that WWE would allow to do that since Edge. And Edge, the only reason they let Edge do it was because it happened so fast. With The Undertaker, they can stretch it out, they can make it matter, and they can do whatever they want after that. To me, it makes good sense. Give him his last run, let him beat Brock Lesnar. It's not a bad thing for Brock Lesnar to lose to The Undertaker. Anybody else, it's questionable. But The Undertaker, because you know that he's nearing the end of his line, man, it's time to go ahead and do it right. I really think that that's what they're aiming at. It's going to take some work and some build-up to be the guy that actually goes against Taker at WrestleMania. I don't think it'll be Brock Lesnar, although from the looks of what they're doing right now, this is Taker and Lesnar 2, basically, so the rubber match would happen at Mania. That might be good. And for the title, that could be even better.
Now, I'm going to lay this one out there, and you brought the Diva Revolution into play, and I think everybody knows my perspective on why Cena should not win the belt at this point, and no, it has nothing to do with 16. Leave it there. Let it go. I believe that, both Mark and Stan put out eloquent points. That's why. I agree. We're on the same page. You brought up the words Diva Revolution. First off, congratulations to the Divas division for getting matches in 3 segments. Carryover. You had the Bella Twins taking on Charlotte and Becky Lynch. You had Paige versus Naomi. Now, I'm going to lay this one out there. It's long overdue. It's way effing overdue. The concept of hashtag give the divas a chance is working because of the factor of you're bringing up talented professional wrestlers, talented workers from your farm club. Now you got to replenish them. Watching Becky Lynch in ring, watching Charlotte in ring, watching Sasha Banks in the ring, watching Paige in the ring, and that's one I'm going to keep on hold for this Sunday night. Because there's some red flags that went up during that interview on Stone Cold's podcast, and I don't have enough time to cover them here.
So hey, it was still a good interview. Give her props and give Stone Cold props for preparing on the fly.
Yeah, pretty much. And because you notice the little comment that he made when he found out they were sending Paige. So there you go. I'm pretty sure he got the filler notes and got a little bit of, got her full bio so he can come up with some informed and educated questions for her. But I just got to sit back and say this, and I'm as far as that goes, here's your teaser for Sunday. The curtain has been decimated that much more, and that's the bottom line. I'm appreciative of the fact that they're bringing up talented workers in ring for the Divas division. I'm really sick and tired of the word Divas, too. They stole the word from VH1. They did that first, but they put a different connotation on it. The day of the diva is done. In my book, it's been done for a while. But now that you've got talented women in the ring who are more than just eye candy. Look, I would so want to wake up on the beach next to Becky Lynch. Without a concussion, preferably. You've got, and I'm just going to use the word, you've got some real badasses that come up, get into that ring. And it's different from the time where half the Divas division couldn't tell I'm going to use Paige's line, couldn't tell a wrist lock from a padlock. Glad to see somebody finally use that. Normally it's wrist lock from a wristwatch. Thank you, Jim Cornette. And I've got to sit back and give credit where credit is due. The Bella Twins didn't look horrible last night. They look outclassed by a mile, but they didn't look horrible. Mabo, your thoughts, the current events going on with the Diva Revolution?
Well, you know me. I mean, how long have I been? Pretty much the days from FCW when I first saw Paige and back when Evilise was down there as Sofia Cortez, back when Shaw Guerrero, when she was, and that was something that I don't know what happened. I mean, it was her own choice, or I don't know really, but you know, when she was Raquel Diaz, there was they could have made something out of her. But when that class started coming through, Paige, AJ, and then eventually there's a few of them down there with AJ, Naomi, but she was still kind of underdeveloped, so to speak. And I just and you know me, I used to speak highly of Naomi, and now I'm just kind of like, she's getting there, but she's still behind in my, just in my book. No pun intended, but but this NXT class, Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, definitely Becky Lynch, when they brought her in. Even some of the new ones that are starting to come up. Carmella shows a lot of promise.
Yep.
Emma, if you notice, Emma went back down there,
right.
Sort of repackaged herself. She's no longer the blonde, little dancing, goofy bubble popper. She's got a bit of a mean streak in her. The only one I don't really have, I've seen a little bit of Casey Cassidy and Jessie McKay. I've seen a little bit of their work from when they were on Independence. Once again, they show promise. Under Sarah Del Rey, Robbie Brookside. Of course, if you can sit under the learning tree of William Regal, that's
Amen.
Unfortunately, we lost Dusty because I think Dusty had a big hand in developing a lot of the women down there. Norman Smiley, same thing. Don't really. I mean, and it's just a gut reaction. I don't. And this is nothing against this person personally. I just don't think she's going to cut it. She's definitely there for cosmetic looks, and that's Eva Marie.
Yeah.
Now, they say she's making pretty good strides, especially under the tutelage of Brian Kendrick. And, Brian Kendrick, trainee of Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
And Jose Lothario. So
Spanky.
Yeah. So, I mean, not Jose Lothario. Who am I thinking of? Ah, crap, I can't think of the guy's name.
I thought
Rudy
it was
Gonzalez.
Yeah, Rudy Boy Gonzalez.
Rudy Boy Gonzalez. Thank you.
Rudy Rage Gonzalez.
Don't even do that. Don't even do that.
Yeah, he's the one that said.
With the exception of Eva Marie and then Dana Brooke, I just don't. I don't know. Just not digging me some Dana Brooke down in NXT, but there's a lot of young ladies and women down there who are probably chomping at the bit to take a main NXT roster spot because they're seeing what happened with Paige or what's happening with Charlotte and Sasha and Becky Lynch, and then you got Bayley not too far behind that. Like I said, Carmella showing a lot of promise. Somebody else I'm leaving out, I can't think of, showed a lot of promise too. But yeah. So, what was your question?
Let's leave it at that because you pretty much answered it. Stan Grubb, your thoughts, Diva Revolution.
When you talk about the Divas right now, it really should be the women's division because the ladies that have come in from NXT have redefined the division in a very short amount of time. And this is not to say that the Bellas haven't stepped up in a major way because both have improved. Nikki probably leaps and bounds ahead of where Brie is, but still, both of them have improved a great amount. It only serves to help the WWE right now because as they continue to improve and the NXT Divas continue to really shine in the main spotlight, all this does is give renewed focus to what it was all about way back in the day, and that's the word wrestling instead of entertainment.
Right.
It's not to say that they can't be attractive. It's not to say that they can't be sexy, but it's time to acknowledge the fact, as Stephanie McMahon has acknowledged on television, that women are very capable in the ring when provided the proper opportunity to take a hold. And Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and definitely Charlotte, who is quickly becoming my favorite female wrestler on the roster. These women are really redefining it. Now, does it mean that the next batch is going to be able to do it? I have to say that I'm not so sure. Bayley's not ready. Bayley has very much the Emma vibe. She'll debut, she'll get a reaction, and then after about 6 months, she'll be right back at NXT. The hugger gimmick is not going to work on Raw or SmackDown.
Nope.
It just won't. Adam Rose was huge on NXT. Huge. And he flopped on Raw. Not because of the bunny necessarily. The bunny took away focus.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. But Adam Rose ultimately did not seize the moment with his segments. And ultimately, WWE lost faith. That's the truth of the matter. When you have wrestlers like Emma and Bayley, and even, I have to agree with Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke is talented, but she's just not there yet. Emma and Bayley are very talented. I think they're close. Bayley, I think, is more ready for the main roster right now than Emma is right now. But with Emma working on her heel persona, that could work up at the main roster. It really could. NXT is really becoming not just a proving ground and developmental area, it's becoming a brand that's bigger than a lot of other indie and televised products combined. Not necessarily bigger than WWE. I think everybody is finally starting to acknowledge that no matter what you think of Vince McMahon and his group, he still is the main stage. Because of that, when you take these NXT divas, when you take the diva division and basically reassign it to women's wrestling, which is what they're doing, the whole focus has shifted. And you can't insult, you can't attack what they're doing, because even though, and I agree with Eddie, there's a lot of red flags from the interview with Paige, a lot of the curtain being not just pulled away, but burned while they did it.
Operation Scorched Earth.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Operation Scorched Earth.
Exactly. I mean, there was a lot of that, but the way they did it, and this is the way Steve Austin has always done it, and Corey said it in a production chat during the same thing. Look, Austin has always acknowledged it's to work. Him doing so takes away all evidence of any kind of fourth wall, kayfabe, whatever the word you'd like to insert. And that's okay with me, because as long as we know the ground rules, we can go forward. The bottom line here, though, with the NXT women's basically invasion, it only serves to help them. If a female performer fails right now in WWE, it cannot be said that it's not because they didn't give them enough time. And that's really how it is right now.
You know, I'm going to save this one for Sunday, because I know y'all are going to want to do it with respective tag team partners, Wicked Nemesis and Smart Rage on the various shows. I've just got to sit back and say I'm still out on my jury for the submission sorority.
Yeah, that name
sucks.
What a horrible name.
Well, hey, it's no better than bad.
I like Team Bad. I like Team Bad a lot better than I do the submission sorority, especially since Paige hasn't won a match truly with a submission in months before last night.
Yeah, and also I've got to sit back and say, which would have been better, the submission sorority or the estrogen assassins?
What?
Yeah,
that's a smart rate.
Only the 70-year-old women use the word estrogen.
Ugh, exactly. That's a Smart Rage joke if I ever heard it.
Who? Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch.
He said who.
I did that one.
Fat man right there.
I did that one for Mabo. Because I knew he would.
Well, there was one little shot that I kind of chuckled at, and I wouldn't mind seeing happening. The second time they threw up the picture of the Divas belt, because they did it once, and Paige kind of looked at it, and then they did it back when she had it. And they did it again, and she did kind of, and God bless her. I don't know if she was just what it was, but she definitely seemed like she wasn't completely rattled, but you could definitely tell if she had the butterflies, because she kept fidgeting with her hair.
Oh God, yeah.
And which made her more all adorable, if you ask me. Plus, I was dying laughing because she said that she had just came from the match, and she smelled like BO. But and you could tell she got dressed in a hurry because her bra stuck out the whole entire time.
And
dang, man, you paid a lot of attention to her physical appearance. Give you credit for watching.
She's a cute girl, of course.
Oh, dude. And then her boobs were just
squished together like.
But when she pointed to the Divas belt, and she said, "I would like to change that
to the women's title."
Change that to the women's title. I was like, yes.
Oh, and I think it's coming. I think they're going to do it, because the NXT women's title. Sorry, I mean that's what they're calling it. So it's not far. I really think it's on its way.
I'm praying it is. Gentlemen, I'm getting ready to take things into the radio ranch, so I'm going to turn it to y'all in the 2-minute warning or the 10 count, however you want to put it. We'll worry about 10 count later. That's next week. But I'm going to go ahead and say 2-minute warning, which will be last call. Mark Mabo Bowman, your thoughts?
Well, I meant to bring this up this past Sunday, but, we were, memorializing Roddy Piper and all that. But JBL actually brought it up during the 8-man tag on Raw about Titus O'Neil taking some homeless people out to eat.
Yep.
He took, from what I gather from the story, he took one homeless person out to a restaurant, and the manager gave him the stink eye, didn't really give him the best service or whatever, and so he said, okay, instead of going on Twitter or what have you and running the restaurant down, he goes, all right, he goes back with like a group of homeless people and took them out. So I think I just let you get you guys' opinion on this. He's obviously got the physical attributes. He has come miles from his days on NXT, when it was a little weird reality show thing, where he his best and most memorable promo was, "If you're gonna win, make it a win." To where he is now. Plus, he got some Crest whitening strips and fixed his teeth. But
sorry.
Would he? Of course, he was nominated or nominated. Nothing. He won.
He won Father of the Year.
That father spiel. So, do you think, conceivably, in the next 5 years, that they might break him off from the tag team and make him the first true black heavyweight champion?
Stan?
You can't count The Rock.
You know what? I have to agree with you, Mark. I think that when you look at Titus O'Neil, he is the complete package. He has truly matured and grown in his role. They knew that putting him back with Darren Young was the right thing to do. He's only flourished since getting back into that. I think he will make another singles run. Do I think he would be the first true black American, black champion for WWE? Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't put anything out of the realm of possibility. I think the problem you run into with him is the potential for injury. The bigger the guy, the more muscular he is, the more problem you have with an injury coming up. And unfortunately with WWE, they've got the injury bug going around bad right now.
Yep.
And I really would hope that he's able to turn it out. And if he does, I think it happens a lot sooner. I think it's another year. But yeah, I think it's definitely possible.
I don't see it happening in a year. I can see that 5-year window, possibly 3. Now, O'Neil, and I agree wholeheartedly, I've liked his character a lot. I've liked the way that he carries himself a lot over the last few years. And I'm going to bring out the Larry the Cable Guy phrase from Jeff Foxworthy, from Louis Grizzard, and say there have been some hitches in the giddy up every once in a while, but by the same token, that's growing pains. And in the world of pro wrestling, just like in any industry, in any sport, there's always going to be growing pains. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what kind of upbringing you've had as far as getting ready and the training goes. There's going to be a glitch every once in a while. And that happened with Titus. It happens with almost everybody in WWE. They get to that phase, they get to that plateau, and how well you manage to surmount that plateau, get past it, that means, that means everything. And I like the fatherhood promo that he did, which we're going to run every once in a while. From that, I forgot to load the other one this evening. Darn it, I was going to load the Stand for the Silent promo and I completely forgot it. So everybody, I apologize for that. We've been playing that one without permission. I'll give you that one. We have not contacted standupforthesilent.org. But by the same token, in this particular circumstance, we're doing it out of respect for Roddy Piper. I also do it out of respect for the drive as well. So, yeah, I'll go through and I'll get the necessary permissions to have that promo run legally on this network. But as it stands right now, I do it out of respect for the cause and out of respect for the individual. But with Titus, I would like to see that. I think he's a strong enough individual in ring, personality-wise, to where he would make a good flagship. He would make a good standard carrier. Bearer is what I'm trying to say. A good champion. I think he would make a good WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Maybe
also, more to the point, I think that Darren Young has potential to be the first, honestly, the first homosexual world champion. Seriously, I'm not trying to make fun or be funny. I'm saying that he has the charisma and the ability in the ring that he could actually make that milestone.
Maybe anything else?
But with Darren Young, I just don't see that. I don't know. There just seems like there's something missing with Darren Young. I mean, could I see him as a U.S. champion?
Yes.
Or I guess we could say he technically wouldn't be the first homosexual intercontinental champion.
Nice.
he would be the first publicly recognized, acknowledged intercontinental homosexual.
You backdoored your way into that one, didn't you?
Yeah, allegedly. But
in Puerto Rico.
But I just can't see. I just couldn't honestly see Darren Young.
I think he's a finisher away from it. He needs a new finish.
I don't know. He's kind of the way he's conducted himself recently.
Mm-hmm.
The way he acted on the Swerved, and or especially when he was talking about how they blurred out his partner's face, and all that stuff, and just I don't know. He just.
Not to mention the comment that he made during the Abu Dhabi tour.
Yeah. I just honestly, because you want your world champion to be able to, also be your ambassador. Look at Cena, even Rollins. I mean, Rollins has done some stuff. Showed up on the Daily Show. I think
showed up in his shower nude.
Yeah, he came up a little short on that one.
Yeah. But Eddie and Wicked seemed to enjoy that picture.
Corey did too. He was very happy.
Oh, I couldn't wait. Hey, when I got those pictures, I was like, "You guys want to see them?"
No.
Like, yeah. I was like, "There you go."
I said no.
But I just don't. I don't think Darren Young could contain any over emotional outbursts. I don't think he could. Whereas, if something maybe Titus didn't agree with or something irked Titus, that he would be able to conduct himself in a better manner than Darren Young would. And like I said, if you're going to, especially if you're going to use your heavyweight champion or world champion as a recognized ambassador, you want that. You want them to be able to let cooler heads prevail.
Agreed. Let me go and take it this way. Stan Grubb, last call, final thoughts.
When you look at the spectrum of wrestling right now, the broad spectrum of everything we've seen, it's really impressive time to be a fan. It's exciting. I can't wait to see what happens with Lucha Underground next season. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with these upcoming documentaries and things that are rolling out. You got Del Wilkes' documentary that's coming out soon. Just so much happening, not just in WWE, but overall. Never mind the fact that Ring of Honor is putting on some of its best programming that it's done in quite some time. This is truly a good time to be a fan, and it's exciting to see. This Sunday, of course, it's myself and Smart Rage again at 9 p.m. Eastern. Working on some interesting things. I've got something brewing that could be a star-spangled interview for sure, and a bucket list item for me as a fan.
That would also be a shameless plug.
So we're working on it.
That would also be shameless plugs.
Yeah, but I don't have any shame. I mean, just ask anybody that knows me, anybody that even knows where I used to live. I'm just saying.
Ouch. There's a number of different perspectives that I put into play, and there's a number of different. There's a ton more questions that I wanted to lay out there tonight, but because of time constraints, my dinner's ready. The fat man's got to eat. Leave it alone. You have to put things in play. And some of the things that we've talked about, like things I brought up during the first segment of the show, as well as things that we've discussed here, they're not meant to incite. They're not meant to aggravate. They're meant to help you think. And the one thing that you should always have, regardless of the circumstance, is an open mind. Let's make it 3 things. Open mind, open ears, open heart. Or open mind, open eyes, open ears, all of the above.
Or in Corey's case, open mouth, insert foot.
Shut up.
He just doesn't want you to say anything because he knows I'll get started.
Yeah, I know. That's part of it.
Mabo, half the fun is making fun of him.
Y'all kayfabe each other during respective shows. Leave it that way on this one.
No. This is back to basics.
This is back. I know it. I know. I let the Shooters Gallery name go. That's why I went with where everything is on the table and nothing is off the record. There you go. That's my gimmick. But from there, like I said, you can agree, you can disagree. We can agree to disagree. We can disagree to agree. But the thing about it is, I want you to think. I want you to understand. I want you to come to your own conclusions. You might think we're right. You might think we're wrong. You might want to meet us halfway on something. That's perfectly cool. And before I go any further, Mabo, would you like to take a certain mutual friends condition, or do you want me to do it?
What?
Huh?
A good friend of
you kind of broke up a little bit. I heard something, blah, blah, blah.
Update on a good friend.
I don't have any friends.
Oh, that's true.
I'll make sure to tell Tunzi that sometime.
He's my brother.
Okay, would you like to give an update on your brother?
Nah.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
No, for those wondering, we kind of talked about it Sunday, I think. Actually, it's been, and especially anybody who's followed me on Twitter or Facebook, or mainly Facebook. It's kind of like a little hectic over the past month or so when Tunzi found out that he had a tumor around or on his, I think it's around his pancreas area.
Right.
Turned out the sucker was huge, so much that when they tried to do a biopsy, it broke the needle.
Oh, wow.
But he had the surgery today, went in at 6:30 a.m., received a message from his sister through his mother. His sister lives up in Boston with her husband. But through Facebook, she contacted me, said that, I think, like I said, I received a message around 12-ish, that surgery went fine. They removed the tumor. It was rather large, so they thought they were going to have to keep him overnight, probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock, maybe a little before. I received a message that he was home, and he's in a lot of pain, but I have been talking with him back and forth. I'm pretty sure at this point hopefully he's asleep. But yeah, he's on some pain meds. He said he's going to be tripping balls for a while, but he's well, and he thanks everybody for the thoughts and the prayers and the good vibes and all that yada yada. So they are going to run one more test on it to double check to make sure it's not malignant. They're going to make sure it's benign, so they don't have to do any kind of radiation or chemo. But he's up and moving, well, so to speak.
So to speak.
So to speak. I'm just worried, though, that if they took that tumor out, how big it was, if he's going to start dropping weight, because I can't be the fat friend. I'm sorry.
He is the one who was nicknamed 2 Tons.
Yeah, I mean, if he loses weight, then all I've got is my friend Jeff. And, yeah, I can't be, I've got to at least have 2 big people, so I'm always secure that I'm not going to be the fat friend. So. But as soon as he's up and running, and I think he and I are going to make a trip to some local Chinese food buffet.
Make it on a day when I'm off, and I'll join you.
It'll probably be in the evening.
There you go. Understand. Tunzi, thoughts, continued prayers. You're in my, like I said, I can't be there in body, but I'm definitely there in spirit, and I hope things continue to get better. And I just stumbled my way through that because I have a hard time being sincere sometimes. But y'all know this. Sincere is not exactly my strong suit. So.
And neither is clever or humorous, but we let you do it anyway.
There you go. Love you, brother. Folks, going to lay it on the line real quick. Live programming will continue tomorrow. That would be August. I'm not taking live calls during the show. Let me wrap up and I'll call this number back, okay? I'm sorry.
Wait, who's calling in?
I don't know. It's a 337 exchange and I don't know the number.
Well, find out who it is. Put him on the air.
Okay, fine.
337?
Yeah, we'll do this live. Sure. Thank you for calling Beyond Ringside Sports Radio. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Do you need my username?
Okay.
Okay, it's GilfHunter68. I'm trying to change my password.
Okay, and what's your real name and where are you calling from?
Well, my first name's Ted. I don't really want to give out my last name, given the nature of the call. I'm just trying to change my password here.
Okay. You realize we're a sports talk radio show, right?
What number did I dial?
205-316-9900.
Oh my God, guys! I'm so sorry. Your number's one off of a adult website for mature pornography. I'm trying to change my password. I got locked out. I'm on air right now.
Yes, you are. And unfortunately, we're calling
Thanks. I gotta go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And somehow I lost Stan in that conversation. There he is. Okay, hold on.
What the blue hell happened?
I don't know. Hold on. Okay, bear with me for a second, because Mabo, I've got you right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try to call Stan back real quick. And we're going to try to see. Okay, have we got Stan 2?
No, I think you got Stan 1. I don't know who Stan 2
There we go. We got Stan back as well. Okay, oh, that's right. I hit the wrong damn button. You'll hear it in post.
Somehow I was on hold?
I thought I hit the add to group call button. That way we could all be on the line at the same time. So to Gilf Hunter 69, thank you for calling in this evening. He said we're one off from a certain website's help address.
What happened?
I'll tell you off air. I think we've just had a first.
Okay, then.
There you go.
Did we have a spam bot call in?
No, it was a human call in. So.
Oh, no. Not a human.
Yeah, it was a human. And
damn humans.
Okay.
You start letting them humans call in and everything goes to hell.
Next thing you know, you're going to start letting fat people from Georgia call in. We just can't keep doing this, Eddie.
There you go. Let's take this thing home. Folks, once again, the To Be Determined show returns Wednesday, August the 5th at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, that's the appropriate time. 7 o'clock on the Pacific Coast as well, and everybody in Mountain Time Zone, you know where you are, okay? Thanks for playing. Pick a time and split the difference.
Wow, okay.
There you go. I'm a nice person. I'm a nice guy. My hero was Don Rickles, Mr. Warmth.
Warm body, more like it.
Close enough. You cannot insult Mr. Rickles while I'm anywhere within the same 500-mile proximity. I will open fire.
Good luck with that.
Okay. I have a feeling we're getting spiked, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. From this vantage point, folks, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. BeyondRingside.com is the web address. At BeyondRingside on Twitter. Facebook.com/BeyondRingside Live. You can catch Mabel on Facebook and Twitter. You can catch Stan on Facebook and Twitter as well. Be sure to tune in this coming Sunday. That's going to be August the 9th. The trifecta returns. Beyond Ringside Live at 5:30 p.m. Central. Wrestle Rage Radio with Smart Rage and Stan at 8 p.m. Central, and of course at 10 p.m. Central Time. Once again, all times listed are Central, the Midnight Black Mass with the Reverend Dan Wilson. Beyond Ringside Back to Basics will return on August the 11th at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Can it get any more chaotic? Yes, I think it can, especially if we do open up the phone lines on a regular basis, because I think we were had a second ago, and you know something? I'm okay with that. Thanks for the effort and thanks for the attention. By the way, for my friends in the Birmingham metropolitan area, be sure to drop by and say hi this coming Friday, 9 o'clock p.m., Buffalo Wild Wings in Alabaster. Karaoke kicks off at 9 p.m. Central Time. Whoever's calling from 936 area code, I'm not answering. Sorry, thanks for playing. We're done for the day. For Mark Mabo Bowman.
Everybody, don't forget to tune in tomorrow night to Chikara's official YouTube channel, or to Chikaratopia, to watch the second episode of Journey into Chikara at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
For Stan Grubb.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, only you can prevent No, that's not the right thing. Damn it, I did it again.
I am the Magic City Motor Mouth, Fast Eddie Layne, saying adios, das vidania, hasta luego, auf Wiedersehen, ciao, sayonara, adieu, arrivederci, farewell, abasinia, au revoir. And until we meet again, aloha means bye-bye. Join us right here as we all go beyond ringside. And you know, you don't have to make it complicated. You don't have to make it complex. Sometimes you just got to take it back to basics. Bye for now.